guys. Thank you all for getting on this call today. I really appreciate it because this is something that I feel really strongly about. And you know how you just have these aha moments and things just kind of come to you and you're like, that is life-changing. I had so many of those this weekend when I was in the Beachbody Success Club trip in Cancun, and a lot of things that I learned even on the plane ride home yesterday that I wanted to share with you guys that I felt were significant to this business. And I'll just be honest with you, a lot of this is coming from this book that I'm reading right now, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And it is an incredible, incredible book. Part of me is thinking that this is like the best book I've ever read. And it's interesting because I know like so many people, like obviously I've heard about this book before, but I had never actually read it. And it is amazing. It is amazing, amazing. In this book, there is this parable that he talks about with the story of the golden egg and the goose and the golden egg. And I think like I had heard this story, but I think sometimes you hear something that's just like at the right time and the right situation and scenario where it's a really impactful for you. And if you haven't heard this story of the goose and the golden egg, how it goes is that there was a poor farmer who one day discovers that his goose is laying this glittering golden egg, and it's just kind of out of nowhere. And at first he thinks it's just like a trick and he doesn't think a whole lot of it. But then the next day this goose lays another golden egg, and every single day this golden egg comes out, and you know, he goes and he has it appraised and it's pure gold and it has so much value, and he becomes this very wealthy farmer. But over time, he becomes greedy and impatient, and he wants more golden eggs, and this goose is only laying one a day. And so he decides that he just doesn't want to wait, and so he goes and he kills this goose to cut it open to get all of the eggs all at once. And by doing so, he ruined the very source of what was bringing him these eggs. He destroyed the goose that was producing them. And so he was then broke. You know, he didn't have any goose or any golden eggs. And I think that this is such a valuable principle that I think I hadn't really connected to this business. You know, I've heard that story and I'm like, okay, yeah, you work hard and, you know, don't bite the hand that feeds you kind of thing. But I've realized that this is so important as you're growing this business, that you can identify what are the golden eggs in your business, you know, what, and what is the goose. And I think if you think about this when it comes to our business, you know, the golden eggs can be a couple different things. It could be the things that have the most value for you. So like, what are the things that you can focus on that bring the most impact to your business, or the things that only you can do, and how can you value those more? Maybe even if you're at the stage of growing your business and it's you're a diamond coach and a leader in that way, that you start looking at ways that you can delegate things out and have somebody help you, and you're just getting started. There's, you know, they may not be there, but this golden egg could be, you know, it's your fitness challengers, it's your coaches, and it always is, no matter what stage you're at. But you're, you know, and how can you take care of them and cherish them? But the goose, you know, and what is the goose? And for myself, reading that, I was like, that's me. You know, I'm the one that's producing this value. I'm the one that is running this business. And if I'm not taking care of myself, if I'm not doing the things that are protecting me, I'm just going to burn out. And I have no value to give people. I'm cutting into the very thing that is producing the assets that are of this business. So that's what this team call is all about, but I think everyone's at different stages, so you may decide for yourself that this can relate in some other way. But that's what I want to talk to you guys about, is how can you protect your golden eggs and how can you protect your goose, and be patient. This story reminds me of another story that I read in a different book called The Slight Edge, and it's a story about this man who's on his deathbed. He's a very wealthy man, and he has 2 sons, and he brings them to the side of his bed, and he tells them that he has a gift to give them both and that they can choose. And he says that they can either have $1 million right then and there, cash, and take it, or they can have 1 penny. And he goes, but if you choose the 1 penny, my assistant has directions to every single day double the contents of your purse, and double it. And so one son picks the $1 million, and then the other son picks the penny. And the first son who gets $1 million is like, I can't believe you did that. Like, that's just stupid, you know, and they kind of compare after like a couple days. And, you know, this first son has the $1 million and the other one has at that point, like, you know, the 60 cents maybe. And, you know, it just seems like nothing in comparison to what this first son has with the $1 million. But the reality is, when you take 1 penny a day and it compounds every day, at the point of 30 days, you have $5 million. And this principle is something that is what this business is all about, I feel. This business, all it requires of you is to give a penny a day. Just a penny a day. You know, what can you do today that's that small and simple thing that it is making an investment, you know, and it is putting in that penny a day. It's not just saying like, oh, well, that's basically nothing. And it's like, well, no, it is something. It's a penny. And it's like, oh, well, that's basically nothing. No, it's a penny. You do need to invest every day. You do need to show up every day, but you don't need to invest $1. You don't need to invest $10 a day, a penny a day, those small and simple things. And I will tell you, those small and simple things in this business, I feel, are showing up and taking care of yourself, you know, being proof the product works, taking care of yourself both mentally and physically, so doing your personal development, and just reaching out to people and building relationships, showing people that you care, and that you focus on those relationships first and foremost. And those are the simple things. I think so often in this business, it seems unfathomable to you to think, okay, I've got to create $5 million in 30 days. How am I possibly going to do that? And so you complicate this and you think of this grand, elaborate plan of how you're going to create $5 million in 30 days, and you stress out about it and you overthink it and you get overwhelmed. And then some people start doing it, but then they don't, or they like get frantic and they like, you know, stress out everybody around them because they're thinking there's no way I can create $5 million in 30 days. And you don't have to worry about it. You know, I was talking with a coach this weekend in Cancun, and I'm like, all you have to do is like put the intention out there that this is where I want to be. You know, I want to be a diamond coach, or I want to help 15 of my coaches advance to diamond, or I want to make $1 million this year, or I want to make, you know, $50,000 this year. Like, what is your intention? What do you want? I mean, the law of attraction is real. And when you put that out there, like, things just maneuver to fall into place. I promise you that's how it works. And all you have to do is show up every single day with 1 penny. And that's it. And if you do that, you know, you're taking that 1 golden egg a day and investing it. You know, and that's 1 golden egg, and you're being patient, you know. With this, one of the things that I feel I've made mistakes about in this business is that I haven't always been a good example of this. And I feel that, I'm learning and we're all learning. But I do feel that I have sometimes given the advice of cutting into the goose to get more golden eggs. And for that, I sincerely apologize. And so this is where I'm pulling you guys out and saying, disregard that. I was wrong. And the important thing for you is to be consistent with small and simple things. The hustle that I have preached and this and that, that's like being consistent, in small and simple things. And I think I've preached this hustle and make sacrifices and this and that, and I was wrong. And I don't feel that that's a wise decision. I feel when you do that, you're cutting into this goose and you're going to burn out. And I've learned that the hard way. Last year, I feel like I went in and out of being burned out. And I had seasons where I was struggling. And the hard thing is that I can tell that my team was feeling the same way. How you're feeling about this business is how your coaches feel, and if you get stressed out, your team is feeling stressed out too. Like, you can't hide your energy. Your energy is your energy. And so if you stress out about this, your coaches are stressed out about this. And I just feel like, just do 1 penny a day. Don't sit there and try to scramble and figure out that I've got to find $1 because I have to invest a whole $1 today, and I've got to go find or $1,000 today because I've got to make that $5 million. That's not true. You've got to protect the goose. You've got to protect yourself, and it means that you have to find that true effectiveness of living life with balance and living this where you take care of both things. And I feel that taking care of you is first and foremost most important. When you feel you're well and you're living your potential, you will be able to give to others the way that they deserve. And but there's boundaries with that. One of the things that I am learning is that I can mute my messages on Facebook. And so I don't get a notification. You can do so. I did it on my phone. And so I'll need to look on Facebook and see if there's a way to do it. But if you have the Messenger app open on your phone, you can kind of swipe it to the left and a little thing comes open, without opening it. So it's just has the messages going down, if that makes sense. And if there's a message there, you swipe it to the left and it gives you the option where you can archive it, delete it, or you can mute it. Mute your messages so that you don't get notifications when you're getting new ones. So then you only, it's not distracting, and then you can only read through your messages when it's the time to do so on your to-do list, and you truly are working from a to-do list. The other thing that I'm learning is that I can put my phone on airplane mode. I don't know why I didn't really think of this until Cancun, but this morning, I knew I was getting text messages and I knew people were messaging me, and I'm I have to focus on preparing for this call, and putting together my slides. And so I put my phone on airplane mode so I wasn't distracted. And I haven't always done that, and I've gone through seasons where I deleted Facebook off my phone so that I wouldn't be distracted when I was with my family. But I haven't been the best example because there's some of you who have messaged me during times that weren't my business hours, and I responded to you. And I sincerely apologize because that was the worst example possible, because you shouldn't do that. And it's not honoring yourself. It's not honoring your family. It's not honoring the people that you're with. And it's not honoring the person that you're responding to. And so I feel, put your phone on airplane mode. Delete Facebook from your phone. Do what you've got to do so that you can be present in the moment where you're at. And in every moment that where you're at, you're giving that 100%. You know, I'm on this webinar right now and my phone is on mute. I don't have any other windows like that I'm paying attention to. Like, this is where I'm at. I'm in this moment. You know, I've been listening to Chalene Johnson podcast, and one of the things that she talks about is that we think that we can multitask. And in this society, like, we multitask to a way where we're not effective doing any one thing because you're trying to give brain power to all these different things. And we want to be in the moment. You know, if you're not in the moment, then you're constantly feeling guilty because you know that you're not where you're supposed to be. So then you're at the baseball game feeling guilty because you're responding to people at work and you feel like you should be with them. And then when you're at work, you're feeling guilty because your kids haven't really gotten the attention that you know that they deserve. And it's like, be with your kids, give them the focus. Then when you're with your team and your challengers, they get your focus. But you're in the moment with both things, but you're taking care of you. And everyone has to really decide what that looks like for you. You know, so for myself, I've been doing daily meditation, and I can't tell you how it's changing my life. Like, I feel so much more at peace. I feel so much more grounded. And I'm crying, but I'm grounded, I promise. But it's so good. And I strongly encourage you guys to do that daily meditation. I downloaded this app, and it's called, I'm looking at my phone so I can make sure I spell it right, Ombana, Ombana. And I will credit Anna Zobel for introducing me to this. And there's this one on there that I listened to it this morning. It's called 6-phase meditation. Like, I honestly, like, I was listening to that and I couldn't help but feel so strongly how this world would be so different if everyone listened to this every morning because of just the positive energy and vibes that would just be released in the world and how connected everybody would be. And it just, like, I don't know, like, I was on the plane yesterday and these people next to me were getting so upset over nothing that it didn't matter, over such a silly thing. And I could feel that they were stressed out, and I just felt bad for them because I'm like, you've just had this amazing trip in Cancun, and like, there's so much good happening and you're focusing on this little thing. And I don't know, like, I thought of them when I was doing the meditation again today, and I'm like, they deserve that kind of peace, you know, and that, like, forgiveness of, I don't know. I'm probably a little all over the place on that, but meditation is one way where I'm really focusing on taking care of myself. The other thing is, and it sounds so silly, but I'm such a girl, but I'm like, ladies, take care of yourself. Men, take care of yourself because you know you feel good. You know you feel good when you get ready for the day. And if you're working from home as a Beachbody coach and you're a stay-at-home mom, it's kind of hard, I admit. And I've had seasons where I was like, I don't have enough time to take care of myself. I don't have enough time to get ready for the day. I don't have enough time to put on mascara and get out of my yoga pants. Trust me. Like, I have definitely had that belief system, but it's not truth. The truth is that you deserve it. The truth is that you deserve to feel good about yourself. The truth is you deserve, you know you feel good, you know, because you feel more confident, and everybody deserves to have the confident you. So do the things to take care of yourself so you can be confident, like whether that's putting on makeup or getting dressed for the day or, you know, spritzing on a little bit of perfume. Like, take care of you. And this is your environment. Like, you know, if you need to hire someone to help tidy up your house, like, I'm sure there's a teenage kid in your neighborhood or your ward who is looking for a couple extra bucks, or, you know, have your kids help out more with daily chores, or have your husband kind of be like, you know, we're going to spend 2 hours on Saturday together just getting the house in order, because you will thrive in an environment of, like, where it's peaceful. You know, light a candle, like, open the windows, like let the light in, like, take care of you, because all of these things are influencing you. I've been taking Epsom salt baths like every day and lighting a candle, and it has just been so good. Like, it makes me feel good, and like I am just taking care of me more, and it's making a big difference for myself, and it's making a big difference when I'm talking with my coaches. I feel like I really can be in tune with their needs because my needs are taken care of. Does that make sense? You know, if you're in so much pain, you're in so uncomfortable with who you are and how you feel, you're not listening to your coaches. You're not listening to your challengers and really tuning in to what they need because you're not taking care of yourself. So like, I just feel that it starts with this. It starts with taking care of that goose. You've got to take care of the goose, okay? And then you do need to take care of the golden eggs. So golden eggs, you can think of whatever they are for you in this business. But one thing that has really stood out to me is we have got to take better care of one another. We need to be more kind to one another and more accepting and loving and forgiving. There are going to be people that sign up on your team who annoy you. And there's going to be people on this team who annoy you and who are different than you. And there's going to be people in your challenge groups who are demanding. And you think, like, what do I do to help this person? And we have to treat them better. You know, you can't be impatient with them. You can't be annoyed with them. You know, sometimes I hear coaches in this business who act like, you know, what do I got to do to force my team to like, you know, shape up or ship out, like, you know, like, what's wrong with my team? They're a bunch of lazy, like, coaches. What do I do to get my lazy butt of coaches motivated? And like, they speak so negatively about their team. And I don't know, like, I read about a similar thing in this book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And I'm just going to read this little part, but he said, I was in a group once where someone asked, how do you shape up lazy and incompetent employees? One man responded, drop hand grenades. So several others cheered about that shape up or ship out mentality, right? But another person in the group asked, who picks up the pieces? No pieces? Well, why don't you do that to your customers? The other man said, listen, if you're just not interested in buying, you can just ship out of this place. Why don't you just say that to those people? They're like, well, you can't say that to customers. Well, then why do you think you can say that to employees? You know, so like, he just realized in this scenario that like, you've got to treat your employees like you do your customers, right? For us, they're not employees, but you've got your team and you've got your challengers. And so how about treating them like they're volunteers? Like, they don't have to be there, which they don't. And they don't owe you anything, which they don't. And so they're here volunteering the things that you can't demand of them. You know, you can buy somebody's hand, but you can't buy their heart. You know, you can force them to I don't know the right term, but you can buy certain parts of them, but you can't buy their heart and their minds. Like, they're volunteering that. Your challengers are trusting in you, and your team is trusting in you. And treat them like they're volunteering their time, because they are. And give more to them in kindness and respect in how you're treating them. Now, this doesn't mean we enable them. This doesn't mean that you treat them like children. I mean, when someone is looking for an answer, as coaches, we can give them the answer and then also respond in that same thing, telling them where to find the answer. You know, because we're teaching, we're empowering them. Same with your challengers. Like, let them know, like, they have what it takes to do this on their own. Because ultimately, the goal is that people don't need you, right? And so teach them, you know, don't just enable them with that too, but teach them, take care of them, and focus on the relationships. Focus on that. Like, I can tell you, the best coaches in this business, you can go and you can talk to them, and I can always tell within like 2 minutes of having a conversation with somebody at one of these events how well they do in this business. Or I can tell what's holding them back. And a big part of it is how much they dominate the conversation and how much they are willing to listen. People who dominate the conversation have a team of coaches who don't trust them, because those coaches feel like they don't get heard. They don't have anyone who listens to them. Or they talk about themselves and they don't ask about you. I remember I don't know. And then when I go to these events and I talk to people like Scotty Hobbs, and he's like, I can tell genuinely interested in me or genuinely interested in the person he's talking to, and he's engaged with that person, and he's not on his phone, and he's looking them in the eye and asking them, like, tell me about you, and tell me about so where do you want? What are your goals? What are your visions? Instead of being like, yeah, me, and I had this, and I was complaining, or oh man, my life is just so crazy, and I'm just so me. That person has a growth that's gonna stop, but you can always tell. When I go meet Mike Ryan, he's asking about me. He wants to know about me. He's not talking about himself. I just feel that's a big clue, and they say success leaves clues. That's a big clue right there, that spend more time asking people about them than you do talking about yourself. And I see someone making a recommendation down below for how to win friends and influence people. Amazing book. I've read through that now twice as I've been a Beachbody coach. I just barely read through that one last month. And it is incredible, because I'll tell you, people skills is not natural for me at all. And I definitely have had to learn this is how I talk to people, and this is how I can make friends. That's not natural for me. And so I will tell you that book is incredible for basically meeting somebody and making them feel like the most important person in the world. That's your job, And, I was talking with a coach at Cancun, and I can tell he's successful, but I could also tell within a couple minutes of talking to him what his downfall was. And it was that he just didn't know his team. He hadn't taken the time to really invest in his coaches. And so I talked to him, and I'm like, that it's the relationships, and he's a guy. And unfortunately, I kind of had to tell him, I believe my personal Brigitte philosophy 101 is that I think that's the reason why in this network, majority of the top coaches are female, not male, because it's a little more natural for a woman to focus on relationships, and you've got to focus on relationships. That's the best thing that Keisha does, to be honest. She has said, when somebody gets on a conversation with her, she steers it away from Beachbody and she focuses on them as an individual. And I love Keisha because I know she cares about me. Even though I sponsored her, she gives back, and I can tell she's constantly how can I uplift you, Brigitte? And what can I do to better support you and the team? I don't have a lot of coaches who message me and ask me that. Brigitte, what can I do to better support you and support this team, Team Forward Fitness? And I'm that just goes to show the mentality that she has, and why I know she's going to be a 15-star top 10 Beachbody coach, because she is constantly how can I give to every single person? There's no limiting behavior. There's no oh, well, I'm going to give to the people who are on my team, but I'm not going to give to this person or that person or that person. You can't segregate it. You can't. The whole limiting belief and the limiting behavior, I'll give a big fat warning, you guys. I have seen top coaches destroyed because I saw them slip into a scarcity mentality. And when you don't give, freely give, when someone's what are you doing in this business? Just share. This team was built on freely giving. I have shared everything. And unfortunately, I do not have all the answers. This team is going to rise because you guys are giving too, because you guys know more than me. You guys have had experiences that I haven't had, and I'm sharing all that I've got, but I want you guys to share too. Because that's what's going to make everybody better. If it's only me sharing what I've done, every single person on this team is going to have a ceiling on their growth, and that scares me. And I know that I don't have all the answers, but together we're better. Together, everyone we can. And I just feel there's this team unity, that there's no scarcity mentality. Even as these teams grow and we have multiple 15-star diamond coaches on this team, which I know that we will, that there's no like, well, that's my team stuff, or like that will hinder everybody. And yeah, I mean, I don't want to name names, but I've seen it happen with other coaches in the network, and I've seen that that's why their business has fallen apart, you know, and why they've lost the respect in the community, because they've slipped into a scarcity mentality, because that's what it is, and that's where it's based in. A few final thoughts, and I told you I'm going to keep it short, so I'm almost done. A couple other aha moments that I've had this weekend. Only a penny a day. Like I said, even if your goals increase, and even if you're like, I know I'm going to be a 15-star diamond coach, or I know I'm going to be a top 10 coach. If anybody of you guys want to go for top 10, go for top 10. It's only going to take a penny a day. That's it. Don't sit there and scramble and try to find $1. Don't try to find $10. 1 penny a day. Keep it simple. This is something, again, talking with another coach. I was like, boy, you have sure complicated things. Like, I feel as coaches, typically every time we open our mouth, we complicate this business. Like, keep it simple. Like, just love on people. Find out what you can do to help them. Focus on the relationship. Like, your number one goal when you're talking to a prospect should not be like, how do I get this person to sign up? Like, what am I going to have to say? What objections are they going to come up with? And how am I going to convince them that they need to do it right now because I need 2 points? It's like, no. I mean, like, your goal should be, how can I make this person know that I care about them? And how can I make this person feel like they're the most important person in the world and they have a great potential, far greater than they realize right now? That is your goal. And that's your purpose as a coach, is to help people see that. Help people see that they are greater than what they're living up to. And Beachbody is simply a means. It's like an avenue. It's a jumping off part, that because when people take care of their health and fitness, they are more in tune to what they need to do to change their life. It is a snowball effect. And you guys get to be that catalyst that starts that snowball effect in people's lives that's going to change their life. And this is not about overcoming objections and figuring out the perfect program. Oh my goodness, don't stress about the perfect program, you guys. The perfect program is the one that that person is willing to do. Don't complicate this business. I have seen amazing transformations from every single fitness program out there. The best program for your person and the challenger is the one that they want to do. The one that they're willing to say, I want to press play today. That's the best program for them. So ask them, what do you like? What kind of workouts do you like? Do you like more cardio? Do you like more dancing? Then tell them to go do the program, that program. That's it. And they can modify anything. So it doesn't matter what their injuries are. Like, I saw at Super Saturday at Summit, a girl in a wheelchair during the super workout where they have like all the trainers together and there's thousands of people. There's a lady there in a wheelchair during Turbo Fire. And she was simply just doing what she could. Like moving her hands, kicking her feet out where she could, like doing what she could. So people who are like, my leg hurts. Okay, well, there's a person who doesn't have a leg who's doing this program. So just get over it. Don't like, just do what you can. So anyways, don't complicate this business. Keep it simple. They're not hard. It's not hard. Like, just focus on people and make them feel good. The other thing that, again, talking to some more coaches. So I always like have ahas in talking with people. So coming back from this trip was just so good. There are coaches that I see, the reason why they're not more successful in this business is because they become too good in certain things. And it's interesting because, like, you know, Chalene Johnson has these business academies, and they're good, but you've got to remember this business is different. And she's talking to businesses as a whole and saying like, okay, create the perfect little website and have a freemium and then this email campaign and all of this. And it's so elaborate and so like fancy that, like, you know, if you ever look at something that somebody else is doing and thinking, I could never do that, the biggest, like, I can tell you that that's what that person's team is thinking too. Like, you know, if you watch someone and their videos are so good and you watch it at the end, you're thinking, I'm never going to make a video again in my life because that video was so good, so I should never make a video. That's what the team is thinking too. You know, so it kind of sounds silly, but don't have your websites be too good. Like, don't make fancy, perfect videos. Don't make perfect, like, photos and elaborate anything. It's like, keep it simple and do the things that are so, like, duplicatable, because with your team, you've got to turn around and be like, guys, this is so simple. Anybody can do this. And that, like, right there is the greatest thing that Scotty ever did for me, because I looked at him and I'm like, the guy is making home videos in his backyard and he's lucky if he even puts a shirt on, you know, and like you see him hit press record and then go behind and start. He doesn't even clip it out. And it's like the guy brings in way more people from YouTube than any other coach with all these fancy videos where they cut it out and they add sound effects and this and that. Like, that's super awesome, but that doesn't, like, empower, like, the team, you know? So don't feel like you've got to be perfect. Like, be you and just know, like, you can keep it simple and that's actually going to be better for your business. Like, you don't need to have this elaborate, like, oh, I've got to do this workbook and this and that and all these things. I'm like, the times that I've done that, I've had to overcompensate in telling my team, like, oh, but you don't need to do that, or I only just started to doing that, where I've kind of gotten to the point where I'm like, that was probably bad for my business, that I created a workbook, or that I, like, does that make sense? Like, do only the things that are really duplicatable. And I figured, like, a really good way to test this, if you're not sure, is to ask your spouse, like, okay, so you see what I'm doing. Do you think that, like, you would do that too? Because your spouse is probably a really good representation of how your team feels. So if your coach is, you know, like, for example, if you're like, I'm going to create podcast. Like, so I talked to a coach and he's like, yeah, I'm creating these podcasts on my team and this and that. And I looked at him and I'm like, that's hurting your business, because I would never, ever want to make a podcast in my life. Like, you tell me I have to create a podcast show to build a business? Like, how is his team going to look at him and be like, oh, you're creating podcasts, I could do what you do? Like, they're not thinking that. They're looking at it and thinking, there's no way I could ever do that, you know? So only do the things that are duplicatable. Keep your challenge groups simple, because if you keep them so elaborate, like, again, like, that's where you're getting your coaches from. And so you have to be able to tell your challengers, like, you could do what I'm doing. Look, it's been really simple, hasn't it? And they're like, yeah, you know? The other thing is, you've got to identify the things that are bringing you the best results. And then also the things that, you know, take a step back every once in a while and make sure you're right on track. This training, this whole webinar is kind of a result of me doing that. You know, I heard this great story that, you know, if you think and picture in your mind this group of men that are going through a rainforest, and there's people in front who are mapping out the course and finding out which way to go. And they're the leaders. And then you have the people behind him who are, like, cutting down the grass and covering down, like, the underground so that people can walk. And those are the managers. Like, they're creating systems or creating, like, all these, you know, like, they're creating the systems and the programs and that kind of thing. But the leaders are showing you which way to go. And so imagine that, like, in that rainforest, one of those leaders climbs a tree and says, like, hey guys, stop, we're going in the wrong direction, we're in the wrong rainforest. And all of the people cutting the ground are like, but we're making great progress, shut up, we're making great progress, we're cutting down so much ground. And it's like, don't get caught up in being like, ooh, I'm creating this really elaborate program and I'm creating this really elaborate training system and this and that, and I'm making great progress. Well, you're in the wrong rainforest. Like, just always keep that higher perspective and, like, ask yourself, like, am I doing the right activities? Like, not just like I'm doing the things really well, you know, like I'm doing things right. Like, okay, so I wrote it down on my phone. Let me find the right wording that I put down on this. That it is, sorry, what do I think? Management is doing things right. So being like, well, we're doing things right. You know, we're following the system, we're following the program that was laid out for us. And leadership is doing the right things. And so just make sure you're identifying what those right things are for you and for your business, and you're adjusting, you know, because for myself, I'm like, I haven't been doing the right things. I've been like preaching, hustle, make sacrifices, and it's all gonna work out. And it's like, this whole time, I should have been like telling you guys, like, do just a penny a day. Like, just have fun with this and like just love on people and keep it super simple and don't try to complicate things. Only invest a penny a day and you're actually gonna do so much better and you're gonna love it and you're never gonna burn out and it's gonna be awesome and you're gonna just love it and it's gonna be so good. And so this is me telling you guys from the tree, yelling down, we're in the wrong rainforest. Let's move. Let's go back to basics. Let's go back to keeping it simple. Let's just like love on people, do challenge groups that are super simple, and just treat these people who come into your life like they are true volunteers and you love them, but you love yourself enough to take care of yourself. And then one last thought and I'm done. You can't stress out about the people who don't want this. And it's not that you don't care. It's not that you don't care if you let them die of thirst, if you want to word it that way. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. You can't force anyone to do this. And even if they get to the point that they sign up as a coach on your team, you still can't force them. Like, I remember Scotty telling me this quote one time when I was getting really stressed out in this business once, and he's like, Brigitte, you're trying to carry people. He's like, you can only carry 3 people on your back before you die from exhaustion. He's like, but you can lead thousands. Like if you stand up front and you lead from the front. And I just feel strongly that there's great wisdom in that. You're a train charging forward, and whoever wants to get on gets on. But they're going to do it when it's their right time. But you can't force them to be willing. You can't force them to do anything that they're not ready to do. And you never know. Like the journey that people are on, you can't judge it because it doesn't look like your journey or it's not the way that you think it should go. It's like everything always happens for the highest good. And you have no idea that you even like them just being a part of the team for one little thing and they're doing it their way, that's the perfect thing for them. That's what God intended. And you are not above God to be able to say, but this is the way I think it should go. I think that person should be a diamond coach. I think that person should be in a challenge group every single month. Who are you to decide what's best for somebody else? You have no clue. Don't carry anybody because maybe you're going to carry them to the wrong place. That is not where they should be. So you say, this is where I'm going. This is what I'm doing. And I'm going to lead anybody who wants to follow me, but I'm going. And so I'm saying to you guys that I'm leading this team to a place where we do things for the right reason and we let the people who want to do it with us join us. And the people who aren't wanting that, they're going to quickly find out that this team isn't for them, and that's okay. And it doesn't mean that you're doing the wrong thing. It just means God has something else for them in store. So that's all I wanted to share with you guys. I love you guys. And I'm so grateful and proud for the people that we have on our team and the amazing leaders that we have on this team. This team is far beyond me. And I'm so grateful for the people that we have who are stepping up and willing to do team calls and helping out and, just giving back to this team and sharing. And there's really something magical happening on this team. And it's more and more apparent to me when I go to these events and I see how other teams work and I see what's going on in our team. And I'm proud of you guys. Don't lose that. Let's keep doing things for the right reasons and focus on how you can make people reach their potential because they see you doing so. They see you taking care of yourself and shining bright and it'll all work out. It's all going to be good. So thanks for getting on today. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you guys in the team page.